Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Cynthia Maxie Milton. Thank you so much for joining us for this edition of Candid Conversation. And today we're talking about dreams. Have you ever had a dream? Maybe of working in the entertainment industry. Maybe you had a dream of being an actor, a singer, maybe a director. And maybe you thought that dream could only come true if you moved to New York or California. Or maybe you had a vision that you were trying to bring to pass, but it just seemed like it was just a little bit too much to make it happen. If you've ever had a dream, you are going to be inspired today. You are in the right place. So share, like, and let your family and friends know they need to hear this message, because my guest today is a dreamer, is a visionary, and he's making not only his dream come true, but others as well. I'm very happy to welcome to the program today the one and only Maximus Wright, who is the founder of the Jackson Film Festival. He is a speaker, he is a writer, he's an author, he's a director, he's a playwright, he's an actor, and he's also the founder and executive director of Soarpreneur. And he's here today to tell us all about how we got all that done and to inspire you to make your own dreams come true. Maximus, it's so good to have you here at Candid Conversations.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, so I'm going to say like someone else said, do you ever sleep?
I get asked that a lot. I think I sleep. I think I sleep pretty well. No, I don't. I don't sleep as reasonable as most people, but it's still good.
Yes. So it's hard to believe just a few years ago, like around 2016, 2017, you were running an adult daycare center.
Yes. Well, actually, I built it for my family. They were running it, but my job would just kind of come in when they were having problems. So I come from a medical background where we had prosthetics companies and durable med companies, and my sister and my mother wanted something they could do, and they came up with the idea of an adult daycare. So we had to go renovate a building, get up to compliance, and get it going so they could kind of keep it going. From
adult daycare to filmmaker.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about this journey and how this came to pass.
Well, definitely it's not the traditional journey, obviously. I had no idea or desires to be a filmmaker. That was not something that I thought I wanted to do when I went to college. I wanted to be a lawyer. That's what I thought I was going to be. So I took a bunch of English courses, and I was a humanities majors, and I probably had a couple of classes. I could have probably graduated with a double major. But I thought I was prepping for law school. Because when I was coming up, my English teachers made me believe that I couldn't write. They didn't, I didn't feel like that was even a possibility that I wasn't.
So let's just pause right there. You said your English teachers made you writer, director, playwright. Your teachers made you feel like you couldn't write.
Yes, a few. But I got to shout out Janie Sanders. Janie Sanders was my 7th or 8th grade English teacher. And I wrote something, and she told me then, she said, you have the potentials of being a great writer. But by the time I made it to high school, I realized that there was a difference between being a grammatical writer and a creative writer. And I wasn't great as a grammatical writer, but I found out that's what editors are for. So so by the time I made it to college, all of that was gone. I didn't think there was a possibility that I could write for a living or do anything. But I could run my mouth. So I felt like law school was the thing for me. So I took all those courses, and 25 years later, I'm making a living writing.
So 2 things, someone could tell you something that you can't do. Don't listen. Just because someone says you can't do it, even if they have an authority, doesn't mean that you can't do it. So if there's something in your heart, you don't give up just because someone has an opinion about it. And then also the other thing, the impact of teachers, because one person said they believed in you in that area, and it planted a seed that wouldn't bloom until later, but it did bloom.
It did. It absolutely bloomed. My way into screenwriting was more of a calling. I didn't choose filmmaking. Filmmaking chose me. I just remember not being able to go to sleep at night, struggling, and these stories were coming to me. I felt convicted about some life stories that I knew personally, and I just started writing them down just in my mind, just to get peace. I was just trying to get peace at night. So after about 2 months, I had a script. I didn't know it wasn't formatted correctly. It was just written in a notebook. I just wrote out what the character said because it was like they were talking to me. It was like I was sitting and listening to conversations, and I wrote it down. I'm like, okay, well, that's it. Then I couldn't go to sleep again. It was just like, you got to make this. And I'm like, well, what in the world? How am I going to make this? And it wasn't until I spoke to Shirley Murdoch. She came down for an event that we were doing for Christmas. We were giving a giveaway. And I told her, I said, I feel in my heart like God want me to make a movie. And she immediately started praying for me. And after that prayer, things just started going into motion. And a year later, where my stepfather died, and he was telling me before he died, no matter how hard it is, don't quit. And he died November 5th. So a year and a day after that, we were on set for the first day of principal filmmaking. So November 6th, 2015, we were rolling trucks and wires and shooting my first film.
Wow. And then from there, you've now made several films. You're in process of making a film now.
Yeah, we made another short. We produced a lot of other projects. We've been doing a whole lot of things. It wasn't until they made me sit down and look at my CV, forced me to make a CV. I'm like, oh, wow, that's a lot. So we've written a couple of books. We've done a play. We've done a lot. We've done a lot in a short period of time.
What does it feel like at this moment to go from that place where those characters were talking to you at night to now have the film festival up and running, and you're creating 100 filmmakers in the next 7 years? You often use this term, building a bridge from Hollywood to Mississippi, and literally we're beginning to see that bridge manifest. I know there were some times when it got really tough. So to be here in this moment, what does that feel like for you?
Well, actually, we say we're going to make Hollywood come to us, which is a little more ridiculous when you say it out loud, but it's happening.
Recently, yeah.
Yeah, it's happening. It feels, I don't really have a feeling to describe it. It's when you're in the work, it's like all you see is the work. And, and like to look at it seems to be on the outside of it. And I think sometimes I'm so in it that I don't give myself a chance to look and see what this feels and things like. All I'm thinking about is what needs to be done today. It's only when I do things like this that I sit back and I'm looking and I'm like, oh wow, that's pretty amazing, But in the moment, I'm so caught in the moment of what we're trying to do that it feels like life. It feels like breathing. It feels natural. It feels exciting. You feel your passion. I'm excited. Every time I wake up in the morning, I'm just like, I feel great. I feel gratefulness. I feel a lot of peace. So those are the type of feelings I have. I don't know if I don't have those pinch me moments until, someone is telling me like, hey, do you know what just happened? And I stop and I look and I'm like, wow, we did that. It's like, cause you don't see it in the process.
It's just your life. It just feels like your life.
Yeah, it's just, I wake up and this is what we do.
But do you feel like you're in purpose?
Oh, absolutely. I have never been this at peace. I've never been this fulfilled. And that's what I was looking for, because I experienced success early in life, but I didn't experience significance. And significance became what I've been searching for the last 20-some years.
That's a moment. Success. You got success, but not significance.
Not significance, right.
Well, just for our audience, talk about what you see as the difference between success and significance.
Well, success can be monetary, it can be tangible things, but I didn't feel good about myself. I didn't feel like I was in purpose. I didn't feel like, when I got into this arena, if it was the first time that all my gifts made sense. It requires everything that I bring to the table and then some. And it keeps me stretching. My success is not based upon how many interviews I get or this. If I can go to sleep at night knowing I gave it everything I had and that I helped someone along the way, I feel like I'm doing what God called me to do. When these crazy ideas come to my mind, like we're gonna make 100 filmmakers in 7 years. I remember when I said that, my two partners were there, they clasped hands. You literally can go back and look at the recording. They grabbed each other's hands like, oh my God, what is he doing? But it's a conviction. And that conviction drives me, it's inward, it's not something on the outside. It's not trying to impress something. I measure my success based upon what that conviction is saying in me at the moment. Am I in line with that? And that's what I was feeling. It was like success was like eating cotton candy. I was eating something, but I didn't feel anything on the inside. And that's the difference now. When I do things now, I feel the love, the passion on the inside, and it's a wonderful feeling.
And I can see, because when you talk about it, literally your whole body gets engaged. And the great thing about being in purpose and what we're called to do is it's not just for you.
Right.
It builds a bridge for others. For example, when I was young, Dr. Tommy, a lot of you all will know her, Stewart, but her stage name is Tonia Stewart, was one of my mentors in college. And so, I wanted to do it. When I was 10, they said, what do you want to do? I want to be a reporter, an actor, a singer, a dancer. I want to do all that. And so I wanted to do the arts, and she tried to encourage me to go to California and pursue it, and I was like, some things happened along the way, and I didn't do that. And over time, I kind of put that on the burner, and I was at a house one day with someone that was in your movie with Semilius.
Yes.
And someone said, she was introduced to me, and they said she's an actress, and I said, oh yeah, when I was young I wanted to do that. And then she looked at me and she said, and you still can. And my first inclination was to say, oh no, and something said, don't say that. And then a couple of years later, I had that opportunity.
You did.
Because you did what was in you to have my first speaking role. Right. Much later than, I thought those things happened. So when we have those burning desires, those things in us that won't go away, I call that, those are God moments. And, it's not just for you. It's for other people as well. And something else I like about you, because I got to join you earlier on in your journey, I used to see your trailers and I used to see your things on Facebook. And even though it was a small beginning at that point, I thought, oh, they must have a big studio downtown. They must have a bunch of people walking around, because you know what? It had excellence.
I appreciate that.
It didn't look like, you're like, no, I do that at my kitchen table. When you told me that, I was just shocked, because it looked like what you're building now. It looked like excellence. And so I think people have joined in and caught the vision, because what you looked like quality.
Wow, I appreciate
Looked
that.
like it was going somewhere.
Right.
Looked like it was something worth investing in.
I appreciate
So
that.
I love that, I always say, don't despise those small beginnings, because you never know where they will lead to.
You're absolutely right.
So some other fun facts. One of the first things you did, you directed a music video.
Yes.
For our good friend Dexter Allen. Shout out to Dexter Allen, who has just been nominated for a Grammy. Wow. We're very proud of him. Some people may not know that you actually worked with Les Brown.
Yes, I did. When I was 19, I went to a conference that he was having in Chicago. It was called Speaking for a Living. And I was the youngest there. And I placed out of these 100 professionals, and we created a relationship, and I've actually gone and represented him before. So I thought I was going to get rich then by being with maybe Brown's baby boy. So, but I came back to school. I was out of school, and it was a great learning experience, to see a black man performing at that level, and him recognizing that there was something inside of me. And coming from Yazoo City, for someone to see that spoken to me, and that made me say, hey, maybe there is something special that I have. So I'm very grateful for that time.
Yeah, I talked a little bit earlier about how, even early on, you just did things with excellence, and we're happy to have a trailer that you did for your first movie. The first movie was Soul Damage, such a powerful movie. I tell people it will make you sad, it will make you mad, it will make you laugh, it will make you cry. It really is one of those movies that will invoke all your major emotions, and I'm glad we have a trailer today. So we're going to play that trailer for you and just show you that Maximus in his inaugural project and what he did just starting out without having gone to film school.
Right.
For the wages of sin is death.
Hey, Mama, what's a Jezebel?
Baby, where you hear that from?
Old, ugly Sister Johnson called you that.
Don't you pay it, no, never mind.
Sister, can I see you in my office?
Pastor, I'm trying to finish up here.
It's only going to take a minute. Remember, always listen to your pastor.
It is said that we are the results of what we have seen, heard, and experienced. But what if those things are not good? Does that make us bad? It is far better to heal boys than to repair broken men.
Praying to God that I don't die. Life on this back burner. When I grow up, when when I grow up, mama, when I grow up, mama, I'ma live. I'ma live, mama. I'ma live, mama. I'ma live. When I grow up, when I grow up, mama, when I grow up, mama, when I grow up, mama, I'ma live. I'ma live, mama. I'ma live, mama. I'ma live. When I grow up, when I grow up, mama, when I grow up, mama, when I grow up, mama, I'ma live. I'ma live, mama. I'ma live, mama. I'ma live.
For the wages of sin
When I grow up, mama, when
is
I grow
death.
up, when I grow up, mama, I'ma live. I'ma live, mama. I'ma live, mama. I'ma live. I'ma live.
Awesome job, and I am just so blessed to have been a part of that project. What do you think? What was your motivating factor behind Soul Damage?
Wow. When I was, I had two friends that both died at 29. And they both, they died from AIDS. And it was during that time when it was very taboo, and people didn't talk about it. And as I found out more about their backstories, it disturbed me. And I felt like they didn't have a voice. So it came from that place. It came from me giving a voice to people who had issues that we didn't take the time to try to understand. You know, it was easy to say, oh, there's something wrong with them. And it made me think about my own struggles. And, you know, and my struggles were not the same as theirs. But it made me think about, how do we give a voice to the people who are voiceless? So it came from a place of guilt. I felt like there was more I could have done. I don't know what I could have done as a kid. You know, I don't know. Because even though they died at 29, I grew up with them. And it was their backstories that kind of gave light to how they died the way they died. And so Soul Damage is a story about trauma. It's a story about those unexplainable things that happen to you as a child that bleed over into your adult life. And sometimes, even though it looks like you got everything perfect on the outside, you're really struggling with something. And a lot of times we don't have a safe place, it's particularly men, have a safe place to share those things, or there's such an expectation on what manhood is considered.
Because we tell men don't cry, don't
Right.
show emotion.
Right. So it came from that place, and it was my hope that this would be a conversation starter, that men and women could start having some real honest conversations that they maybe never had before.
Okay, because the character in the movie suffered molestation.
Yeah.
And-
Yeah. He was molested by an older woman and a man. And he grew up, he became very wealthy. He was successful as what it appears what success was. He was a ladies magnet, but he couldn't sustain relationships. And I'm like, well, why? You know, let's start dissecting why. Is it just because he's just greedy, or he's just this pervert, or he's just this boy who just enjoys being a playboy? And you see he's very conflicted by those things. So I like writing about complicated characters, because then it forces you to talk and not just be dismissive. So yeah.
And so now we have this Jackson Film Festival. You just finished up your third year. When did you get the idea to have a film festival, and how is that going?
Well, it started with a partnership with the city of Jackson. You know, they showed my film, and then they were like, we really like your work, so why don't you come back next year? And I was like, well, there are more people than me. I'm grateful, but why don't we give an opportunity for more people? Why don't we have like a mini film festival? And I remember the words came out of my mouth, and they were like, oh, we like that idea. And they were like, well, okay, go make it happen. So be careful when you say, when you come up with these great ideas. So it happened. It was virtually, it was during COVID. And Candace Love Jackson was helping me with the project. And she said, well, you know, next year is the 25th anniversary of Time to Kill. So we need to do another festival. And I was like, nah, I ain't going to do this no more. But she kept at it. And, you know, and I started thinking about the other people who needed an opportunity. So we wind up doing it, and after that first year, I said, I'm never going to do this again. And then Esther Young came on board, so now I had 2 against 1, and we're into our third. We just did our third in-person year, and it has grown from a city festival to a regional festival. We had our first international visitors to come in from Canada this year. We've been getting international submissions, but we actually had people who were coming from Canada here, and now we're going into our 4th year, and it looks like it's going to be even bigger than anything we've ever done. And it's just kind of like how the film was. Like, I had no idea that this was going to happen. This was not my plan at all.
But again, your obedience made the way for other people. to pursue their dreams.
And that gives me great satisfaction, to see. I spoke at this panel not too long ago, and I said the reasons that I'm doing this is because it's a very selfish reason. Because every time I see a young person, or older person for that matter, step off that boat and go after that thing, it's like I'm saving a piece of myself again. Because I know what it feels like and people don't believe in you. I know what it feels like. People who are very principled, you can't do it. It won't get done. It's impossible. So it's one layer of satisfactory. One layer of satisfaction that I can do it, but it's a whole nother when we see someone else who didn't believe now believe. So that is a very personal thing that affects me.
Yeah, because when you now have this group, you have this group, the 100, you call them.
The 100, yeah.
Where you're teaching film directing and producing and prepping them to go and make that a reality.
Right.
Well, that's really, really wonderful. There is this saying, it's a cliche, but it's so true. People say, well, you see my glory, but you don't know my story.
Nah.
And so a lot of people see the glory, they see the interviews. But I know sometimes it got really tough. When was it the toughest? And for someone who may be struggling with a vision or a dream now, what got you through that and what advice would you give them?
Oh, the toughest was probably right after the premiere of Soul Damage. It took so much to get that done. And then right when everyone thought that this was the most amazing thing happening, I felt the most alone. Unfortunately, I suffered a divorce after that. And then that's just a form of death itself. And it just felt like all of this was for naught. So
you've written it and you've gotten it made and you've gotten it to the theater and
now my life is crushing. And I didn't want to do anything else with film. I didn't want to do this because I blamed it. I said if I wasn't doing this, my life would be happy right now because it wouldn't be so complicated. And I was literally just laying there and just like wilting away. And that voice, that still small voice, it never leaves. It just keep coming back and it just keep dropping little seeds here. And I was at a point that I didn't even want to hear it. I didn't want to hear it. The pain was too bad. And it just reminded me to go back to what I know. I wrote another script. Yeah, I wasn't going to say it. The second is probably about the fourth or fifth at this point. But I wrote this script called Existentialism. And it really was for anyone. It was for me to pull this pain out, to suck this pain out, this anguish, this anger, all of this stuff. I just needed the therapeutic response of just writing. And as I wrote it, it's just like it started to bring life back into me again. And it was just like, these words were powerful. And it was a long time before I could read it without crying. Because, I'm not a person that cries. But as I wrote this, it's just like I was pulling every disappointment that had happened through my entire life leading up to this point. And I started letting some friends read it. And when my male friends kept calling me crying, after they read it, they were like, you need to make this. And we're going to make it. We made an attempt, but I just wasn't ready at that point. But I think going back to the gift that God has given you brings you back to where you need to be. And that's what that script did. That's how I got out of that darkness. I wrote my way out.
Wow. They say that behind every great man is a good woman. Maximus has a few, and we're going to introduce you to one of them when we come back. You're watching Candid Conversations. Stay tuned.
Are you dreaming of becoming an entrepreneur, but you're not sure where or how to start? At Entrepreneurs Academy 101, our online program will guide you step by step on how to start and grow your own business. We offer courses such as how to write a business plan, how to create a budget, and so much more. Our online training program is designed for you to learn at your own pace, and there's no set order to complete this program. Because our academy is online, you have the choice to learn with a group, with friends, or individually. Upon completion of the entire curriculum, you will receive a certificate of achievement to acknowledge that you have completed the training needed to become a successful entrepreneur. So enroll today to design the life that you love. Contact your entrepreneur coach, Brenda Myers, at 601-672-0695 or visit our website at www.entrepreneursacademy101.com for more information.
Hey, have you heard about the Accountable Card? It's more than a card. It's a complete mobile banking service that's accountable to all of us. You'll get a no credit check debit card good anywhere Visa is accepted to make purchases, deposits, even get or transfer cash with an FDIC insured bank account managed from our smartphone app. There's even a pre-approved no interest line of credit if you need emergency cash. So why go to the bank when you can have ours in your pocket? Get accountable. Just download our app today.
Socrates Gary T.com is a diversified firm specializing in recycled aggregates and crushed concrete. Socrates Garrett ENT.com's recycled materials provide the construction industry with significant economic and environmental benefits by recycling clean concrete rubble into M.Dot grade rock materials. Recycled aggregates and crushed concrete can be applied to driveways, road construction, bank protection, parking lots, general bulk fills, and more. For more information, please call 601-896-0084 or visit us online at SocratesGarrettENT.com.
Welcome back to Candid Conversations. I'm Cynthia Maxie Milton. Today we're talking about the agony and the ecstasy of making dreams come true. And we have a dream maker, a dream manifester here in the studio with us, Mr. Maximus Wright. He is the executive director of the Jackson Film Festival and Soarpreneur. We're going to talk a little bit about that in a moment. And also, before we went to the break, I said every good man has a great woman behind him. Maximus has a few, and one of the great women behind him is in the studio with us. That's Miss Esther Young. Welcome. She is the director of finance and administration for Soarpreneur and the Jackson Film Festival Gala, and makes things a little bit easier for this guy. So we're glad to have her here. Esther, welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So tell us when you came aboard and why did you want to be a part of Soarpreneur and the Jackson Film Festival?
I came on board in mid-2021, and I was hanging out with my Tougaloo classmates and having fun, and they just let me play. I just wanted to play with them. I was watching them from afar, admiring what Maximus has been doing over the years, and really living vicariously through him.
And I want to dissect that a little bit, because I can imagine, I remember going to that first rough cut preview, and I was like, wow, this is really something. But these are your friends, you all went to college together, and you see them building something. Really, what when you were looking, what were you thinking, and what were your thoughts about being a part of that?
Well, at that point, I was just so proud, and excited for particularly what Maximus was doing. Even this, and this was before Soul Damage. Maximus posts and is very transparent about where he is in his life and what's happening, and his struggles as well as his successes.
Yes, he does.
And at various points in my life, I would rely on those for strength. I would pull strength from those, encouragement, and just dare to dream. Because although I didn't have anyone to discourage me from exploring dreams, I just didn't have the courage within myself to do it. And I think that my inner voices prevented me from pursuing what my passion or what my heart's desire was. So, reading his posts, seeing him talk about what was going on, whatever that was at the time, it was like, okay. I was happy for him, right? It's celebrating him, but not really employing it in my own life until years later. Walking through my own life's journey in healing processes, I at this point I was over 40, and I'm like, either I'm going to do it or I'm not. And he had a casting call that I said I was going to do, and I didn't do, and then it came around again. I said, oh, okay, I'm going to do it. And like the day before, I almost backed out. But I proceeded with it, and I thank God that I did, because I didn't give up on myself. I overcame that inner voice that said, "Don't do it," but I did it.
Those inner voices can make you a break.
Oh, can't they though? Yes. Oh my God. So it's incumbent upon us to nurture that positive inner voice, right?
Listen to the angel.
Listen to the angel. So fast forward some months, I was in Atlanta at the time, so I'm back in Jackson. I got the role that I auditioned for, and things happened, and that particular project got put on hold. But meanwhile, I'm still watching them, right? and I got invited to, I think, one meeting, and then I started participating, and then I think we were visiting the convention center one day in preparation for the first festival, and Candace said, "You want to do the gala?" And I thought, okay.
Now, had you done something like that? Did you think you could do it?
Well, I believe I can do anything. So no, I hadn't necessarily done anything
Except
like that
audition
before.
for the
Right. But I really do believe I can do just about anything I put my mind to.
Okay.
And usually I can. I usually do it well. So like that spirit of excellence that you see in Maximus, it's not just germane to him. I think the three of us come from a certain place of high standard and excellence in being and doing. So I think that's a part of why we work so well together, and respect each other's gifts. But yeah, so Candace asked if I would do the gala. I said yes, not having ever done that before, but I knew I had the three of them to depend on. Delved inside, did what made sense, did what I saw in my head, just created the beauty that I wanted to see. And in so doing, we had the first gala for the Jackson Film Festival in 2021, the first in-person gala, and it's gotten better and prettier and more festive and exciting each year. So I can't wait to see what we do in 2024.
Wow. And I like that's why I said, with your small beginnings operating in excellence, she has a spirit of excellence. If you were kind of just throwing something together, that may not be something she wouldn't want to be a part of. And I know where some of your excellence come from. I'm going to take a liberty. It's from your mom, Wilma Young.
Sure.
Absolutely. I worked with your mother. She was, I could just see her smile now. She was sassy. She was energetic. She had a spirit of excellence.
She absolutely
She could work with anybody. And let me just tell you, she would be just so proud of the woman that you are and that you're still evolving to become.
Oh, thank you.
I know she would be. I know she is, because I know where her spirit is, because I know what kind of spirit your mom has.
Oh, yeah.
And I know she is just so proud of what you all are doing and accomplishing and achieving. And that's why you thought you could do anything. You were Wilma Young's doing it. So, well, let's talk about something else that's really exciting, you guys, because, as I said, people take note of excellence, and ECOP has taken notice of your excellence and reached out in partnership with you guys. So talk about that project and what's going on with that.
Sure. Well, ECOP is the Entertainment Industry College Outreach Program. And Stacy Milner is the founder and executive director of that program based in Los Angeles, California. And I think it was last year, the year before, we were connected through Ashley McFarland, who is the Vice President of Development at WeTV and All Black. Ashley is familiar with our work and our mission and what we do daily, and connected the two of us, our two organizations. So in conversation with Stacy and their efforts to create or improve diversity, equity, and inclusion in the television and film industry through their internship program called HBCU in LA. They offer summer internships, 8 to 10 week summer internships to HBCU students or rising students or 6-month graduate students, as well as graduate students within the television and film industry. It's a paid internship. They're housed, and they boast a 90% job placement rating at the end. So through our conversations over the past year, I think, or maybe 18 months, we determined that we wanted to bring them to Mississippi during their fall tour, their fall tour. And I know that their feedback from a lot of Southern HBCUs had been nil, with the exception of the Howards and the Morehouses and the Spelmans. They were not getting a whole lot of feedback from the Southern region. So we said that we could help with that. We took it upon ourselves to make sure that ECOP would have active participation from every HBCU in Mississippi, as well as those surrounding states that we could actually penetrate. And so from out of state, we had Lane College and Lemoyne-on College from Tennessee, and if I'm not mistaken, at least one student from Grambling, and then every HBCU in the state was represented. And that event happened on October 31st on the campus of Tougaloo College. And we brought, or rather ECOP brought with them executives from the Major League Baseball from Major League Baseball, from the Motion Picture Association, from AEG, as well as Global TV, and Maximus Wright with Soarpreneur, Maximus Wright Productions, and the Jackson Film Festival. And they were there and to talk about all of the opportunities that existed for young people throughout every industry within the film and television industry, every career, not just
because laws,
exactly.
Law. It wasn't just holding a camera, being in front of a camera.
Right.
So I just thought that was just such a wonderful opportunity.
Because most people interested in the film and television industry, in the entertainment industry, are thinking acting, directing, producing, but this was the jobs behind the scenes. These are the people that drive the train that make the world go round. The lawyers, even doctors. You had every aspect of vocation is represented in the entertainment industry. And these people came to talk about that, to tell these young people that there is room for them at the table, and they were going to help them get there.
And the students had an opportunity to ask questions. Faculty members had an opportunity to ask questions. They got a chance to talk to these industry executives one-on-one. I was thinking as I was prepping for the show, I'm sure that's one of very few times that many people from those many aspects of the entertainment industry had come together in Mississippi, particularly of African American descent, where students could actually go and talk to them.
Absolutely.
I venture to say it may have not ever happened before. And it was a wonderful, wonderful one. I was just blessed to be in the room, to see the dreams and the connections and all the things being made. It was a wonderful, wonderful day. And again, I emphasize this is why it's important to move forward in that thing that's in your heart to do, because this came again out of you thought writing a script down or then making a film. You had no idea of all the other things to come out of your obedience.
Yeah. It was amazing, and I was very, very proud of that moment. But what was even more powerful, what I'm even more proud of, is the moderator. Her name is Christina Hatcher. Mm-hmm. She just left Netflix to do this passion project. She worked for CAA. I saw on her post, she said she captioned what we did at Tougaloo. She said, this was one of the most important days of my life. Wow. For her to say that, that's gave even more impact for what we're doing.
That's a moment there.
Yeah.
That's just that statement is a whole vibe, as they say.
And she's from Alabama, and that's why we clicked so well with her, because she comes from a similar background from where we come from.
Yeah. Wow, this is really, really wonderful. So talk to us about, what's next. The festival is coming up next year. You have the dates already. So aspiring filmmakers, get your things together. You've got time, but you're going to be accepting entries very soon. You want to talk about that and how people can enter their works if they're interested?
Sure. Submissions open December 1st. filmfreeway.com/Jackson Film Festival is the web address, website. And we are taking scripts, film shorts, features, acting, monologues, TikTok videos, just a whole slew of different projects that are available for people to enter.
Okay, and what's the window? What's their deadline to get them in?
Again, we open December 1st, and the initial deadline is April 15th, I think.
Okay. So you got plenty of time to get it entered. If you haven't gotten it developed yet, you need to get on that. And so I have a feeling you're going to get a lot. Your nominations are going to go up this year. But it's a wonderful film festival. It's very well run. It's very well done, and it gets better and better every year. And support the film festival, you guys. We want things here in Mississippi, so we have to support them. They're working hard to make all these dreams come true. But as Maximus said, this stuff ain't cheap. So you have some ways that people can tangibly support you, and also I want to give the address where people can go and find out more about the entries and whatnot, and just what you're doing in general.
They can go to jacksonfilmfestival.com. That's jxnfilmfestival.com. Or if they want to support, they can go to our 100 Filmmakers Initiative at 100filmmakers.com. That's 100filmmakers.com. And you'll see some of the things that we're doing and different ways you can support and become a team member with what we're trying to accomplish.
What is your wildest dream for Soarpreneur? We should stop and talk about Soarpreneur, because we've talked about the film festival. Talk about Soarpreneur and what it is and what that's about and how people can get involved with that, if they can get involved with that.
Soarpreneur is just the nonprofit arm of Maximus Wright Productions, which also lends itself to the Jackson Film Festival. It is when we start talking about significance, that's where Soarpreneur came. I've always been entrepreneurial, but the SOAR is an acronym for Significance Over Acquiring Riches.
Say that again. Significance
Over Acquiring Riches.
I love that.
And that is because we lead with significance first. The riches will come, but you can have success and not have significance, but if you have success, I believe it lends to significance. It lends to success. So we're trying to get people who are passionate, because I didn't get into film until after I was 40. So
neither did I.
Yeah. So it was more than me having a midlife crisis, but that's our drive, to push that. And our wildest dream is that we're going to build a community of dreamers, not just filmmakers, but whatever dream you got, whatever it is, whether it be a stay-home mom or whether it to be I'm gonna launch a second career, or I'm gonna start that bakery. You have a right to dream that. You have a right to pursue that, and we believe that it's in alignment with what the Creator made to be. It'll make a living for you, and that's what we're trying to do. I just believe this world would be a better place if the people were doing the jobs they were meant to do.
Amen.
And if that job is to be a cashier at Burger King, or be a greeter at Walmart, then this world would be so much better. And I think the world is in chaos because people are doing stuff, trying to make a living, and not doing the stuff that fulfills their purpose.
Significance over achieving riches.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree with you. So we talked about your wildest dream for Soarpreneur, your wildest dream for Maximum Wright Productions, and the things that you're doing in general. Esther, Maximus, what do you all see 5-10 years from now? You can paint a brush, because SS told you she can do anything. So 5 years, 10 years from now, what is your visual eye? What is your spiritual eye see?
Ooh. We probably don't have enough time to talk about all of that, but I want to go back a little bit to what Soarpreneur is actually, the other things that Soarpreneur is doing. He mentioned we're the nonprofit arm, and we are a 501c3, and our mission is to celebrate and equip those the next generation of content creators, entrepreneurs, so that they don't have to leave the state to live out there and fulfill their aspirations. And we do that through 3 primary initiatives, and the Jackson Film Festival is one of those initiatives. Our workforce development program is another initiative, and that's the one through which the 100 filmmakers in 7 years was birthed. And in addition to that program, we are in the process of creating a film studies program for Rust College.
It's amazing.
It is absolutely a phenomenal experience. But we're looking, in addition to developing that curriculum, we're working on a certification program for those non-traditional students who are interested in the film and television industry as an actor, director, producer, screenwriter. And then the third initiative is creating partnerships like the one with ECOP and with the Mississippi Film Office and the Mississippi Arts Commission and those other agencies and organizations and community members that understand our mission and want to support what we do and help us to create creative and unique opportunities for education and employment. So those are the 3 primary initiatives of Soarpreneur and how we go about making that mission come true.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought up the workforce development because, again, you're talking about, props, script manager. I have all the terms right. Makeup, sound, editing. Yes. And, so that's just really, really wonderful. So when the films come, they can draw on people who are trained with excellence.
That's right.
Right here in our state.
That's
they don't
right.
have to bring people from out of state. And you also talk about film-related tourism, because I know you have a passion for that. Can you talk about that? Because one of the things I loved about Soul Damage was how you captured Mississippi beyond shanty houses, and some of the things that we traditionally see in film with our state, and not to say that some of those things do not exist, because I don't think you ignore negatives, but I tell people, if I come to your conference and you only tell me about the 5 days that my child acted up, when 95 days they did great, you've given me a skewed view of what my child is like at school. And I love the fact that you embraced all the aspects of Mississippi in your film. So talk about film related tourism and how you want to see an impact there.
Yeah, film-induced tourism is 1 billion people travel globally every year, and 1 out of 4 go to somewhere that they saw on television or in a movie. So Tomb Raider, when Laura Craft was created in Indonesia, their tourism went up by 1,000% the next year. Field of Dreams still gets 65,000 people that come to see that baseball park that was made in that cornfield. The movie Deliverance was made in the 70s, and they created whitewater rafting around it, and still 40,000 people go each year for that movie. And my question was, how many people want to come to Mississippi based off the movies they saw?
Say it again.
So when you start thinking about A Time to Kill, Ghost of Mississippi, Mississippi Burning, when you start thinking about that, you're thinking racism, you're thinking poverty, you're thinking about all this horror. Who wants to come see that? I'm good friends. I consider Tate Taylor and good friends, and they're good people. But when you start looking at the help, it's still not part of the 21st century. So I was very intentional about shooting Mississippi the way I saw it, because if we don't put those movies out there, people will believe what they see in movies. And if you don't believe that, people from here, when you travel, just listen to some of the questions you
I
get
get
asked.
it. I worked with the Department of Army, and I trained in Kansas. And there are people, interracial couples, that are nervous to come through Mississippi because of the movies. And again, I say, we don't ignore issues. Yes, we have issues. Our nation has issues, but show other sides. Like I love that you showed The Reservoir. You rarely see something like The Reservoir in a movie about Mississippi. And you showed the beauty of actually, it was even fresh eyes to me. I was like, and I've always loved our downtown, but when I saw the way, I was like, gosh, we have a beautiful downtown.
Yes, we do.
But you don't rarely see that in a movie, and so many movies, you would think we didn't have air conditioning because everybody is sweating.
Right.
You would think that nobody is articulate sometimes when you look at movies. So I think it's important to show various aspects of various people in various roles, which is more accurate of what we have. Okay. So anybody, looking to talk about how some tax dollars should be allocated. Yeah, the film industry is a good return on the investment. Another little known fact: you were a minister.
Yes.
And you have an anointing. I'm gonna tell you a story. When I think it may have been the first or second time I met Maximus. It was at an event, and we were having a conversation. I will never forget this. And we were talking about control, and I said, no, I don't try to control anybody. And you said, no, you don't control people, you control circumstances. And I said, ooh. I thought about it, and I was like, he's right. I don't try to control anybody, but I try to control the circumstances that surround me and that I'm in. And I thought, how would he know that? He just met me. And I hadn't even thought about it myself. That's that ministry anointing kicking in. So do you feel like this is your new ministry, so to speak, or does your ministry calling ever come into play in your creativity and your filmmaking? I think you touched on that some, or how does it?
The purpose never changed. It was just a method. I never stopped being a minister. It's just the methodology changed. How do I go about doing it? So I still see it as God's word. I never questioned whether I was not in the ministry. It just wasn't a pulpit. We're still reconciliation, love, forgiveness, transformation. So those messages and those themes go out through everything that we do.
When I saw the original cut of the film with Julia's part, which I actually liked the first Julia. Someone wrote that I thought it was a part that's actually that's not what I thought at all. I thought she did a great job, but I did remember sitting there saying, oh my goodness, this is so powerful. This has to be more than acting. this has to have an anointing.
Yes.
Because there are people who will have this issue that will not go in a church, that will sit in a seat and see this film, and if it has an anointing, it will touch them. And I got at that moment what I think is a burden for that part. Like something was birthed in me. I was like, it has to be, and I felt so great after we showed it at the Telecom Center. People came up, including the main character's wife, and they said, I don't want to give the film away, but they said, I want a hug. I just leave it at that. I want a hug. And I said, okay, well, maybe I did, what I was supposed to do. Because even though it was a film, it was ministry.
Yes.
And a lot of people have that issue. So it's amazing what we can do through creativity, and it's amazing what we can do through our calling, and it's amazing what we can do when we stop listening to the wrong voice.
Yes.
And we listen to Maximus. You want to talk about it, that still small voice? You want to talk about people, how they can hear a little bit better, and the importance of listening to that still small voice?
It's for me, and I know everyone's experiences may be different, but it's that knowing inside of you that it's not a loud thing, but it's just a nudge. And sometimes it's so easy to just ignore it. It's just so easy but you know it's there because it keeps coming back. And eventually you need to try it. You need to step out on and say, let me see what happens if I pay attention. And I'm so glad I did, because that just kind of started a waterfall of other events that led to this place here. And I think deep down inside of us, if we're honest with ourselves, we know when we're feeling it, but we've been so used to running away from it, because sometimes, in my particular case, what it's telling you to do doesn't make any sense at all. Because I had no experience, no contacts, no finances. My family thought I had absolutely lost my mind.
No film school background?
No film school, nothing. They thought I had lost my mind. So to just adhere to that voice and to do it. And now on this side, it makes sense. But the only comfort I had then was it would just keep telling me, keep staying the course. And that's where the faith was being tested. But I just ask people, I just tell people, look, listen, because look at where your life is now. If you're not happy, if you're not fit where you think, what do you have really to lose except the illusion of the stuff that make you unhappy in the first place?
I heard someone say, if you can see it, it's not faith.
Right.
And someone talk about, faith is that scene, as we go back to the movies, in Indiana Jones, where they step out, and it looks like if you step off that cliff, you're going to hit a abyss. But when you take that step, a force comes up under to support your foot.
Right.
And then when he took the next step, there was a force that came up under there, invisible, that supported. But you have to take the step for the force to meet you.
Right.
If you just stand there paralyzed, you won't know it's there.
Right.
Is it anything, Esther or Maximus, that you all want to add before we wrap up?
You got it. I think you got it all.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, it's my pleasure. I got an opportunity to follow you guys around on a lot of interviews, because my company got to be your PR firm. That was a high honor.
Absolutely.
And a lot of fun and a labor of love. But it is really such a joy for me to now get the opportunity to sit and have a conversation with you. I tell you, I'm so godly proud of you and what you all are doing here in Mississippi, what you're doing for our young people. I love, she said she was watching your post and she was gathering strength. Did you know that?
No, not initially. I didn't.
Again, not knowing what just following your call will do, but who knows who else is out there watching and being inspired. So I just want to encourage you guys to keep dreaming, keep doing, and I just cannot wait to see what all God is going to do within and through you all. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for my beautiful logo in the background. He did that for me. I really appreciate it. And thank you for joining us for this edition of Candid Conversations. I am Dr. Cynthia Maxie Milton. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.